We're talking about ego payoff, guys. Today's energy talk is about the deeper aspects of your ego and why you are experiencing this schism inside of you between your ego and your true self, your true needs, your true wants. Welcome back to our Energy Talk on Wednesdays here on Skype Live. My name is Jona Bryndis. I'm an energy healer, coach, and trainer. And on Wednesdays, we discuss these subjects that can lead us to better understanding ourselves, making better choices, and perhaps finding more peace and happiness in life. And today's topic is ego payoff. Yes, what does our ego get out of doing the stuff it does against our better knowing? These automatic things, these patterns, and also addictions. So today I want to talk to you about probably the most important topic that we are facing as energetically sensitives, as consciously awoken soul selves. And I want to ask you guys right away, what have you found out in your journey thus far? What your ego gets out of doing things, saying things, not doing things, not saying things, even though you have the best intentions. And I would prefer it if you spoke into the microphone, simply because it goes faster and it's a lot more to learn and to heal from if I and we all hear your voices. How well do you know your ego? So you guys all know this schism in you, right? You have this intention, you have your virtues, you have your beliefs, you have your values, and then you find yourself in a situation where you act against it. That could be anything on a physical level, could be your exercise routine that you're not doing, the gym membership that you're paying for but never go to, the diet that you always wanted to do, or that you're doing but that isn't working right. Or it could be on an emotional level, where you want certain things for your relationship, say for yourself, and yet you seem to maybe unconsciously push it away, or have too many defense patterns. You want connection, but you're too distrusting or too defensive. On a mental level, you want to be open, you want to be neutral, you want to be all spiritual and all in your attitude, and yet you find yourself over and over again having these automatic thoughts, these automatic judgments. And spiritually, it may show up as you thinking you know it all, you've got this figured out, you've been around the spiritual corner, you know what the deeper aspects are, and you see the bigger picture, and people are just not getting it. So you have negativity around other humans, other anybody in the world, institutions, organizations, and so forth. And energetically, this can show up as perhaps you already seeing things, but misinterpreting them. You're seeing things, in the spirit realm, and you don't quite know what this means. So you fall for the fantasy or fall for the apocalyptic doomsday, demons everywhere, everything is against me. These are ways how these ego schisms, where our ego tries to override, and often successfully so, our better intentions, our better knowing, and our truer feeling. Raise your hand if you can identify with any of these symptoms that I just listed. Who's experienced themselves saying one thing but feeling another, or not doing something that you clearly know you should do, or you know, buying into a nice fantasy or becoming all lazy even though you're having these good intentions to do another routine, or this can also include your inner work, toe dipping, yeah, or spiritual bypassing. Yes, Cindy, you're the only one raising your hand. I'm raising my hand with you. Spiritual bypassing. Okay, we talked about this last week. All right, this is like where we meditate a little bit and read a little bit or come to, these energy talks, and yet never really change anything. Yeah, because we're thinking that, like, oh, it's all going to be fine. Or, yeah, this untruth or darkness that only applies to others. Or victimhood, another symptom. So we got 3 people here, myself, Nigel, and Cindy, who are, oh, Lotte, yes, I see you, who are admitting to this to yourself. Okay, now, those of you who have already discovered this in yourself, that you have a schism in you, I would love to hear from you. What
Hi,
you
Jona.
believe. Hi,
Hi, everybody.
what
I'm
you
just
believe.
giggling through this whole thing like, yep,
That's
yep.
the way to go about it. But what do you believe? Yeah, your ego gets out of that. I mean, the true you, let's say the true self in you, right? That has a conscious understanding of what you are, who you want to be in this life. It's very clear, Cindy, right? You've been a heart warrior, you've been a trance coach for years, almost a decade with me.
Yes.
I know that there's no question in your mind. And yet, right? We fall
Yes.
these little things. And what do you think? I don't want to talk more about what these little things are, the critical inner voice, the addictions, the laziness, the bypassing, blah, 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 the superiority. We don't want to talk about this anymore. I want you to go a little deeper. Cindy, what have you found out? What do you think your ego gets out of it? There must be something it gets out of it.
Not taking responsibility for one. If I feel like I'm not in the right conditions for whatever spiritual thing I want to be doing or whatever, I'll just throw in the towel. Like, oh, this isn't going to work today. And I noticed that with a lot of things, I derail my ego derails my best intentions.
Yes.
Yeah. And
And that's the
it's
phenomenon, right? That's what we're experiencing.
exactly,
And
exactly.
unfortunately, that's exactly what is the cause, or what's causing us not being able to trust ourselves. Have you noticed that, Cindy? It's like this, you have an inner dialogue here, right? And one part of you says, I want to do this, da, da, da. And then the other part says, not today. All right. And then, you do this over and over, you form a track record with yourself, right?
Yep.
Where it's almost impossible for you to actually truly believe in what you say.
Yes.
You stop believing in yourself, in your own intention. And that's obviously also a motivation killer, right? Because
Yeah.
if you deep down know that you're not going to fall through anyway, eh, you know.
Yep. Yep. And I just watch it get farther and farther away.
Thank you for sharing this, because it's really important for you guys to know that this has nothing to do with knowledge. This has nothing to do with, you understanding, energies or seeing energies or anything. No, this comes out of your willpower, but not the willpower that wants to force things, that wants to control things, but out of the true motivation, the true intentiveness that you have, the true reason why you want to do something, right? Like the reason for it all. Okay. So apparently, and you said responsibility, Cindy. So I'm gonna go down into the rabbit hole with you right now. Okay. I know you well enough to know that there's no question as far as your intentiveness is concerned. Okay. So if your ego, which functions kind of like a lazy teenager in the house, no offense, yeah, can't get him or herself to follow your deepest true heart's desire, where is the disconnect here? You say responsibility. Okay, a teenager is excused because a teenager can't really take full responsibility. And at that developmental stage, it's kind of natural to just wanting to be defiant, to wanting to individuate and not follow what the parents say. But in the case of the lazy teenager, there is the parent as an outer authority. It's an external authority, right? Basically, go clean your room, or, take a shower, or, do your homework, right? That's, if you put yourself into these shoes, that's an external authority. Teenagers who are self-motivated, say for school, they won't have a problem doing homework. Teenagers who like having a nice, clean, tidy environment won't have a problem keeping their rooms tidy. And teenagers who have a good relationship, a trusting relationship with their parents, they have no reason to be defiant because they know they can discuss everything, they can correct, they can make good. There's no need to just go against it. So is it that our ego, or Cindy, is it that your ego is kind of like a teenager? Okay, you're giving me the thumbs up. Okay, so it's like a teenager who externalizes their authority, right? The question is, if your ego is rebelling against some external authority, which is which? What is what?
Yeah, that's interesting. There is a disconnect and a little bit of a confusion there.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if we think about, those higher goals in life, these higher expressions that we're striving for, these virtues that we're talking about, I mean, those are all really well-willing things. Yeah, they have to do with truth. They have to do with freedom. They have to do with love. They have to do with compassion. Yeah, understanding, all these really cool things. All right. So how come your ego perceives, just judging by its behavior, yeah, your ego behaves like a teenager. We just said that. A teenager who doesn't want to take responsibility for his or her, in your case, actions. Okay, how come the teenager, the ego in you, sees those higher virtues, love and truth and true freedom and independence and all this, as an outer authority? Is there maybe a voice in you, Cindy, that says, you got to do this, you have to be like this, you need to take responsibility for your life, it's your job to do your homework or else you're not going to go into college, or, it's your job to meditate, and if you don't meditate, you don't get into heaven, or something like that? Is there a voice in you that talks that way? That basically makes all this spiritual striving, yeah, for your higher expression an authoritarian external thing, a matter of performance, a matter of perfectionism, a matter of achieving, accomplishing, getting, owning, having? You think? All right. You know what you just found out, Cindy? That the reason why your ego is going against you is because of the approach, not what you want. I'm pretty sure that you can convince your inner teenager, yeah, that love and trust and freedom, independence, that all these things are really good things. If you make it a matter of self-motivation. So what's in the way here? What's in the way, Cindy? We're talking about ego payoff, guys. Today's energy talk is about the deeper aspects of your ego and why you are experiencing this schism inside of you between your ego and your true self, your true needs, your true wants. And what's in it for the ego? What does the ego get out of? What does your ego teenager get out of not taking responsibility? Follow the breadcrumbs here, because it shows you the actual fear that you're facing. That's the way I do this with energy coaching. I help a person to get beyond what is so that they can better understand what they're truly up against. Cindy, you said not wanting to take responsibility. What's beyond that? Or underneath that?
Fear of failure.
Okay. Your teenager ego is afraid of failing. Now you can start correcting this. How would you do this? You're a mom. I know you have 3 children. So if you have a child, a teenager who's afraid of trying something new, who's afraid of really growing into him or herself, what do you do as a mom?
That is so funny that you asked that question, because I can give wonderful advice. Like, you should just do it anyway. You're going to learn fabulous things. But taking my own advice is kind of a different story.
No, it's not a different story. It's the same story, because if your advice starts with you should, okay, then you have the answer. Okay, why your teenager defies you, why your ego defies you, and what it gets out of it.
Should, yeah, that 4-letter word.
Well, because that too comes from, this. It's also an ego power. Yeah, trying to control things, trying to force things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So learning how to speak with your ego in the right way is very much like learning how to communicate right with children and teenagers. Yeah, and I don't mean to degrade the ego in that way. I just want to show it's a developmental stage. Okay, so if you have all these wonderful spiritual virtues, but you run into your ego self, all right, you're running into your, lesser developed part of you, the part of you that just wants to have fun, that just wants to, enjoy, that wants sensuality, that wants dopamine, that wants, that doesn't want to work, that doesn't want to put effort into anything, that doesn't want to risk anything. Okay? You're talking to the part in you that doesn't want to be independent. You're talking to the part in you that doesn't want truth. You're talking to the part of you that just really wants to, I don't know, seek pleasure and avoid pain. So if you want to convince your ego, if this is something that you're experiencing as well, yeah, you have a teenager ego that doesn't want to take any responsibility out of the fear of failure, okay, you need to change your approach. You need to go in and start shifting your attitude toward empowering, toward not trying to do it for them, but allowing it to explore, allowing it to experiment, allowing it to make mistakes. So the fear of failure, guys, comes from your childhood upbringing, yeah, where any kind of failure was either berated or led to berating, shunning, or punishment. Okay, and it is no wonder that if this is what you're experiencing, your ego resists that, because if you talk to yourself like in this parental voice, yeah, you should, and oh, you dummy, why didn't you do this? And oh my God, I can't believe, you're still not doing this. Oh, why did you do that? Yeah, this is the parental voice. Okay, you're getting a teenager reaction. You get resistance from your ego. What are some other phenomena, Cindy, thank you so much for being our willing candidate here. What are some other phenomena? How your ego resists? Who wants to discover what's underneath that struggle with your ego and why your ego does that, even though you, the true you, doesn't want to do it? Let's take toxic relationships or no relationships. How about that? Anybody experiences a pattern there? How about diets and exercise routines? Anybody experiencing schisms? The higher part in you knows exactly what you need to do to be healthy or to have healthier habits and routines, but your ego has other ideas. Linda is commenting here, analysis paralysis. Well, if you allow me to help you, then just articulate it.
So I know the plan, I write it out, and I'm ready to go, and taking that step or tipping my toes into the water is just a no. And so the next day, I write up another 15 pages of the plan.
Oh, wow.
It's all, it's just over and over. And this has been going on for a year and no step.
All right. So you analyze, you strategize, but no action follows. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, zero action, all just spinning wheels.
Okay. All right. Let's just accept that for a moment, that they're spinning wheels. Okay. What do these spinning wheels do to you? Let's measure, the payoffs on either side. Okay. Staying in the situation that you're in, what does that do to you in your words? Is it good for you? Is it nah? Or is it bad for you?
It's really bad for me.
Okay, if it's really bad for you, that's a good motivation, right? Your ego knows that too. Your ego knows that it's not good for you. Okay. But there is something your ego is still getting out of it though. Because the bottom line is, for someone who hasn't really trained to overcome, these ego resistances, is that you won't get your ego to agree to change something until the pain of staying where you're at becomes greater than the fear of the unknown when you try something new. I just gave you the clue. What is your ego getting out of staying where you're at?
Well, I think the problem is there isn't enough of a personal pain to force me forward. Like if this was a job and I needed an income, that would be, well, I can foresee that as being the pain that would motivate me. But because I don't have, it's going to cost me a lot of work, but it's a passion project, but there's nothing really in it for me. It's that purpose part.
Okay, so your ego says there's not enough payoff in changing anything.
Yeah.
And you mentioning money and value is an indicator. Yeah. So your value system is measuring outcome results by the monetary value. And a lot of times,
well, no, it's this particular project has no monetary value, and so all I'm saying is I think if it did have that carrot, that might be enough, but this will never have that carrot. It's
okay,
just that kind of project.
Linda, how much does love, how much does truth, how much does freedom, how much does joy, how much does happiness, how much does health as a state, how much is that worth to you? How would you measure that in money? I mean, how can you even measure these things in money?
Yeah, none of these things would directly give me any, this project wouldn't give me any of those things that I know of. And
Well,
I guess the
what would it
fear,
give you? What would it give you?
well, this sounds terrible. You'll eat this word up, but it's like an altruistic thing. So
No,
it's what I
fine.
think my purpose is on this earth.
Yeah, okay.
And so, yeah, so just by saying that word makes it sound like
Okay.
it's wrong.
Doing something for the greater good.
Yeah,
Doing something selfless. Why would I eat that up? That's a very high vibratory goal. Okay. It's a good motivation. It's a higher motivation. Okay. And we're doing that just like why we would do things that are healing, why we would do things that bring more truth into the world, more freedom into the world or our own life, more love into the world. Yeah. So when you do something altruistic, yeah, it's for the love to others, not romantic love, but for the love to humans, for the love to the planet, for the love of our souls, yeah, if you will. Okay, so that's a very high vibratory goal. But
right. And then
you run into
it's a
you
very high risk because it could be egg on my face very easily. I could look like a fool. There's a fear of failure, blah, 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 blah.
okay, yeah, no, blah 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 blah, no, go there to the blah 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 blah. Okay, what's risky? Oh, you just said something very important, because that's what your ego is saying. No way, Jose, I'm not doing that, it's risky. What
Yeah,
would the people say?
it's the fear of embarrassment or rejection or,
Okay, okay,
another thing like, oh, there she goes again.
okay. So other people's opinions, how
Yeah,
other people see you, yeah, that there might be any repercussions. I don't know if this is part of like a group or a community or something. Maybe getting kicked out of a community, could that be a potential risk as well?
no, but my family, it's going to take, my family's constantly saying, stop doing all those things. So it's my family. My family might not like it.
All right, but they're already saying that, right?
Yeah.
All right, so what's the point? They're already saying that anyway.
Yeah.
So there's no risk, really. They're just going to continue what they're doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
No, that's painful.
You
Because
don't.
it's that other people opinions of me, and I put a lot of value in that. I know I shouldn't.
Okay, but how do you feel about people who don't see any value in altruistic things?
Well, I try and let them be them, but if I was in my heart of hearts, I don't I, I don't support that.
You don't support that, and yet you allow your ego to be dominated, to be controlled by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, but that's your schism. You too have an authority problem here.
Yeah.
All right, it's as simple as that. So if you're afraid of what other people think of you, who clearly don't have the same goals that you do,
Yeah.
who don't have the same values as you do, that, truthfully, that you don't actually approve of. You don't approve of their values. Yeah?
Yeah.
But you're afraid of what they think of you.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You're giving them power.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to decide who's in charge.
Yeah.
No, it's that simple, Linda.
Yeah.
This has to do with values and virtues, okay? And it has to do with truth and freedom. Okay, if you are changing your own behaviors because you're afraid of what other people think of you, that means you're not true to yourself. And if you're not true to yourself, you can't be free.
Yeah.
If you cannot think for yourself, you cannot be free. Guys, this is the part that you're all not getting yet. There is no truth if you are not free of these things. You have to decouple from that. You can't give power to something that doesn't align to your values. If you do that, you're unfree. And if you're unfree, you cannot be in truth. All this training and all this listening to videos and all is for nothing, because you're not free. You can't think freely. Okay, so Linda, this is not just for you. This is for everybody here, because this is such a big problem for everybody. You're not thinking freely. If you are afraid of what other people think of you, you're a prisoner of other people's thoughts. There's a double problem with that. First of all, you can never really know for sure what other people think of you, for one. Yeah? And second of all, you can't control what other people think of you. And thirdly, if these people have different values, different virtues than you, well, you already know that it's irrelevant to you what they're thinking. You already know that. So you just mark it as like, okay, any type of criticism or whatever derogatory remarks coming from that type of people over there is completely irrelevant to me, because their goals are different. They think it's okay to lie and to cheat or to be selfish. But I don't. I want to care for other people. It's my value to do something that is beyond just myself. So criticism that comes from people who only care for themselves is zero important. Yeah. Now, if somebody criticizes you who's on the same, like, say, mission as you, yeah, and who values the same things, and who says, "Hey, Linda," or X, the way you're doing this, maybe you can tweak this a little bit, okay? Because it looks like you're really burning yourself out in the process, or maybe you want to, change the strategy a little bit over here and blah, 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 so that we can reach more people. Maybe we could even work together. That's constructive criticism. But constructive criticism can only come from people who have the same values, the same virtues as you. You understand? So you need to decouple from those people.
That's
All of
really
you guys.
hard when it's your family.
Well, then so be it. But that's the truth of it.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to accept that truth, Linda, or anybody here, then you can't be free. And if you're not free from this, okay, you cannot see truth. And then it's not a mystery why you're having such a hard time with your ego, because the part that you give the power, yeah, is the part that doesn't want truth, that doesn't want to be free. Yeah, Syria, exactly. You always run into people who have no integrity, who don't respect themselves, that tell others how they need to be and how they be. Yeah, well then, I mean, you won't really be able to prevent from running into them, but don't give them any power. See them for what they are. Oh, okay, this is somebody who doesn't really have integrity, doesn't have good boundaries. Yeah. So, I mean, you can still love them, you can still hang out with them, but whatever it is that they're saying or how they're responding to you, you already know where this is coming from. Yeah, it's not important to you. This is a super important lesson, guys. All right, and I'm going to leave it here. I want you to contemplate a little more. We have the Dealing with the Critical Inner Voice workshop next week for Sacred Self-Healing members. If you want more information about the Sacred Self-Healing program, where we have daily meditations, workbooks, workshops, seminars, and so forth for members, then go to my website. If you want to feel what it's like to do energy coaching in this way that I sometimes show it here to you guys live, then request a free initial consultation with me. It's an energy coaching session, the first one for free. And check out the other programs, how you get to this place to actually determine, yeah, what your freedom is, what your truth is, what your love is, and maybe the strategies to get there. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Please keep commenting here. Yeah, so either in the live thread or on YouTube. I would like to know from you what it is that you experience as your biggest schism, and maybe if you found out what is in it for your ego. All right, guys. Very exciting topic. Love it. See you again on Friday. Bye bye.